Volume 2 of the Old Curiosity Shop and Reprinted Pieces presents a new problem. Look, you can see how far out this section's sticking, and in fact these sections are completely loose and the pages within the sections are loose, and it's split right down the middle. Thing is, the end papers unusually are still intact, so I don't want to split the book there. And so what I've decided to do is, since the book has disintegrated in the middle, I'll split it down the middle and then try and build it up again from the middle, keeping the ends intact. See how it goes. So I've just got to split through this one string, which is all that's keeping the two parts of the book together. Now, question is, what needs replacing? Let's open it up. Well, the latter half of the book, it looks as if the spine mull and paper are more or less adhering, but they've come off the beginning of the book. So what I'm going to do is gently, carefully remove as much of this as I can without compromising the start of the book. It's a tricky one, this. Okay, I removed quite a lot of the messy mull and backing paper from the first half of the book, let's say. It's interesting that the part of the book that's been badly affected is that part of this volume which is still the Old Curiosity Shop, because you only need to get about a third of the way through this volume, and here we are. This is where it turns into reprinted pieces. Reprinted pieces, look, and this is where the book has split. Yeah, so there's the end of the Old Curiosity Shop, and that's damaged. The reprinted pieces, it looks like hardly anybody's bothered to read it. So they read up to the end of the Old Curiosity Shop, left it. So that in itself is an interesting piece of social history of how people read. Right, this is a mess, and I've got to decide how to restore it. I'm going to have a think about it. Come back to you.
Several months later.
Right, what I'm going to do is simply reinsert those bits that are hanging out, join the sections to each other. Then I'm going to put a piece of mull here and a piece of this brown paper as well, and with the brown paper I will join it to the rear half of the book. Okay, while I've got the book in pieces, I'll just show you. Here's one of the illustrations to reprinted pieces. This one is entitled A Poor Man's Tale of a Patent. 4 new illustrations were commissioned for this edition because, of course, in the original library edition, in which this appeared in 1858, there weren't any in-text illustrations. There was just the title vignette. And so the publishers thought, we can't have more than half a book with no illustrations if it's going to be the illustrated library edition. So they commissioned Fred Walker to produce 4 new plates to illustrate these reprinted pieces. And just see where here we are. Here's the most famous of the illustrations, entitled Detective Story, The Sofa. And this is when Inspector Field and his men told Dickens anecdotes of life in the detective police force, and Dickens wrote them up and this is really right at the beginning of the whole detective story movement in the world. You know, Edgar Allan Poe had written a few detective stories. Dickens was about to, with Bleak House, create Inspector Bucket, but this appeared before Bleak House. Okay, so I'm just going to re-glue these.
12 seconds later.
Right, I've tipped in the loose illustrations and sections. I've created a thin strip of mull and a piece of brown paper, and what I'm going to do is glue this to the first part of the book, thereby securing the sections. Right, the reprinted pieces, as I say, they're from Household Words, the weekly journal that Dickens started in 1850. And apart from a few things that he produced for the journal, such as A Child's History of England and Hard Times, most of Dickens's contributions were anonymous, and it was only with reprinted pieces that some of his journalism was collected and attributed to him for the first time. There we are, clear daylight through the spine. Okay, rub that down to secure it. I've just spotted there are a few more loose leaves which I've got to secure. Once this is firmly in place, and then I've got some additional repairs to do, so split to the edge of the spine, top here, a few little nicks at the bottom, corners of course, and I haven't actually cleaned the head yet, so I've got various little jobs to do. Right, I've cleaned the book up, I've mended the corners, I've inserted a small piece at the top of the spine, I've got a larger piece which I've already shaped and inserted, and as it was such a struggle to get it in, I'm not going to take it out again and show you how I did it, but believe me, I have just fashioned a piece of cloth, and now I am going to glue it in position. Actually use the brush here because I need to get in a bit deeper. Whoops! Accidents will happen. Now these little mends that I'm engaged in here, they may seem quite trivial, but they're very fiddly, time consuming, but very much worthwhile doing it. They make all the difference to the final appearance of the book. The snags at the top and bottom of the spine, the little blemishes to the corners, just fill in tiny little bits of glue and make sure that you pat them down nicely and hide your work. I'd say that's pretty much done. Let's open it up and see what it looks like where I rejoined the two parts of the book. There you are, between pages 144 and 145. You wouldn't know anything had happened. Okay, so there's no sign of the trauma that afflicted this book before I set to work on it. So, spine will dry now. What I haven't said though is this book worth reading? The Old Curiosity Shop. Here it is with reprinted pieces. Well, I have to say, I've only ever read The Old Curiosity Shop once, and that was probably about 20 years ago. So I think it's high time that I reread it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it more than I did the first time. There are some interesting secondary characters. I'm interested in Kit and find out about his leisure activities, which sound quite interesting. And yeah, the people that Nell and her grandfather meet en route. I think this will be quite an interesting insight into England in the 1840s. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.